we're gonna start with our deadlifts. So grabbing those dumbbells at the hips, feet are under our hips. We're hinging at the hips to bring those dumbbells down to our mid shin, keeping our back nice and straight and pulling them back up. And just moving through those two motions, making sure to really keep that back straight throughout this movement here. And when you're at the top here, I want you to squeeze your glutes together. And let's do 3 more reps together. And 1 more. Good job. Now, after those deadlifts, we're going to lift those dumbbells up into our shoulders and get into those thrusters. So again, thruster is a squat, and then we push our dumbbells over our heads once we are at the top. So squat and push those dumbbells overhead. And remember, a good modification for that is instead of doing that full squat, we could do that sit to stand. Once we stand up, push those dumbbells overhead. Good job. And let's do 2 more together. Good job. Now we're going to place one of our dumbbells to the side and get into those side bends. So starting with our feet under our hips, 1 dumbbell in hand, we're leaning towards that dumbbell and then coming up and through. So really engaging those core muscles and our obliques here. And so remember, you want to pretend that you're in between 2 planes of glass. So you don't want to lean forward or backwards. You just want to lean to the side, keeping our body nice and straight throughout the movement here. And let's do 2 more together on this side. Good job. Now we're going to place that dumbbell in our other hand. And we're going to lean towards that opposite hand now with the dumbbell in it, and then up and through. Same principles as before, making sure that we're leaning in a straight line. We're not bending forwards or backwards. And really trying to engage those core muscles and our oblique muscles. And let's do 3 more together here. Good job. Now we're going to place both of our dumbbells to the side and get into those push-ups. So remember, you can either do the push-ups on the floor, against an elevated surface, or against the wall. I'm going to choose against the elevated surface, such as this countertop. So remember, starting in that plank position so we can draw a straight line from our shoulder joint to our hip joint to our ankle joint. Then from there, we're bending at the elbows to bring our chest down towards the floor or our surface, and then pushing back up again. So making sure not to place our bum in the air or way down. We want to keep that back nice and straight. And just completing our push-ups here. And let's do 2 more together. Good job. Now standing back up again, grabbing our dumbbells and getting ready to do those bent over rows. So starting with our feet under our hips, we have a slight bend at the knees. We're going to hinge at the hip like we're taking a bow, and we're going to lift those dumbbells up into our armpit crease, really making sure to squeeze those back muscles at the top and just moving through those 2 positions. And remember, if that exercise is hard on your back, instead you can stand upright and do those upright rows. So pulling those dumbbells up towards your collarbone, making sure to lead with your elbows if you're not doing those bent over rows. Otherwise, if our back is fine with those bent over rows, we're going to do those bent over rows. And let's do 3 more together. Good job. Now we're going to keep our dumbbells in hand and we're going to do those bicep curls to a shoulder press. So starting with our palms facing upwards, dumbbells in hand, we're curling at the biceps to lift those dumbbells up to our shoulders, then pushing those dumbbells overhead. Reversing that movement on the way down, making sure to move nice and slow and controlled. Good job. Let's do 3 more reps together. And last rep. And good job. Now we're going to move through that one more time. So starting at the top with our deadlift, so our feet are under our hips, dumbbells are at our hips, and we're hinging at the hips like we're taking a bow to bring those dumbbells to our mid shin, and then pulling back up again, making sure to keep our back nice and flat and straight throughout the whole movement. And then squeeze your glutes at the top. Good job. Let's do 3 more reps together. Good job. Now after those deadlifts, we're going to get back into those thrusters. So remember, starting with our weights up on our shoulders, we're doing that squat and then pushing those weights overhead. So in our squat, feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, toes are pointed outwards. We're squatting down, making sure our knees go over our toes. Then as we come up, we're pushing those dumbbells over our head. And remember, the modification for this is to do those sit to stands. And then once you stand all the way up, pushing those dumbbells over your head. So taking whatever option works best for you. And let's do 3 more together. Good job. Now after those thrusters, we're putting one of our dumbbells to the side, getting into those side bends. So feet are under our hips, holding one dumbbell in our hand, bending towards that dumbbell at our core, then coming up and through. And remember, we're not bending forwards, we're not bending backwards, we're bending directly to the side and up and through, pretending that we're stuck between 2 planes of glass. So really engage those core and oblique muscles here. And let's do 2 more on this side. Good job. Now holding that dumbbell in our other hand, we're bending towards that other side now and still pulling up and through again. Good job. Let's do 2 more on this side. Good work. Now we're gonna place both of our dumbbells to the side to get ready to do those push-ups. So remember, taking whatever option works for you, if that's down on the ground, against an elevated surface, or against the wall. So starting with our hands under our shoulders in that plank position. Then from there, bending at the elbows, bringing our chest towards the floor, and then pushing back up again. Good job, everybody. And let's do 3 more reps together. Good work. Now standing back up again, grabbing our dumbbells. And we're gonna move into those bent over rows. So feet are under our hips. We have a slight bend in our knees. We're gonna hinge at the hips like we're giving a bow. And then we're gonna pull those dumbbells up into our armpits, making sure to squeeze our back muscles at the top. Moving nice and slow and controlled. And if that exercise is a bit tough on your back, you can stand upright and pull those dumbbells up to your collarbone, leading with your elbows. Otherwise, we're doing those bent over rows. And let's do 3 more reps together. And 1 more. Good job. Now after those bent over rows, we're gonna get into those bicep curl to a shoulder press. So starting with our hands, our palms are facing up, dumbbells in hand, we're curling those dumbbells up to our shoulders and then pressing those dumbbells overhead. And then reversing that movement on the way down. And remember, as you press up, you don't want your shoulders up at your ears. You want them nice and down and relaxed. And remember, as you're doing those bicep curls, you're just using your biceps. You're not using your body momentum to pick them up, just the biceps. Good job. Let's do 3 more reps together. And 1 more rep. And good work. That is our strength portion. So for our conditioning today, instead of the Tabata, we're going to do 1 minute of lunges, 1 minute of burpees, 1 minute of squats, then a 1 minute run on the spot. And after that, we'll have a 1 minute rest. So instead of resting after each movement, we're going to rest after all of our movements. So I'll start with demonstrating those lunges. We start with our feet directly under our hips like we're on train tracks. Then we're taking a big step back with one of our feet, bringing that knee as close to the floor as we can or to the floor, and then standing back up again and meeting both of our feet together at the top. Then repeating that with our other leg and just moving through those movements for the whole minute. After our first minute is up, then we're going to get into our burpees, just like we did in the warm-up. So again, with burpees, you can do them on the floor, against an elevated surface, or against the wall. I'm going to do the elevated surface again. So we're starting with that little hop. Then from there, we're getting into a push-up position. So hands are under our shoulders. We're doing that push-up. Then once we stand up again, we're doing that little hop and then just moving through those movements. After our burpees, we're going to do another minute of squats. So same form as before. Feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Toes are pointed outwards. Squatting down, making sure to keep our chest up, and then standing back up again. If you want with the squats, you can also hold some weight up on your shoulders if you're feeling like a bit of a challenge today. Then finally, after the squats, we're going to complete 1 minute run on the spot, and then we'll have our 1 minute rest. And same with the run on the spot. If you want to hold some weight, you can. And I'm going to start my timer to keep us on track. All right. So we're going to start at the top, starting with those lunges in 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, and starting with those lunges. And so remember, if you can't bring that knee all the way down to the floor, then what I want you to do instead is just still take that big step back and bring that knee as close to the floor as you can, then stand back up again. So just like so. Otherwise, bringing that knee all the way down to the floor and standing back up again. And we're halfway through our lunges already. And 5 seconds left. So in 5 seconds, we're going to move into our burpees. And starting our burpees now. So remember, starting with that little hop, then moving into that push-up, and then doing that hop again. And if you're getting pretty fatigued from those push-ups, what you can do instead is some of those shoulder taps instead of that push-up. So hop, then you go into your plank, do that shoulder tap, and then hop again. Just if you're finding that those push-ups are pretty fatiguing. But taking whatever option works best for you. We've got 15 seconds left of these burpees. Good job. And now we're transitioning into our squats. So feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. We're squatting down and then standing back up again. And remember, you can always do those sit to stands instead of those traditional squats. And you can also add some weight while you do these up on your shoulders, whatever works best for you. We're over halfway through with our squats. Ten seconds left with the squats before we transition into that run on the spot. And good job. Now we're running on the spot for a minute. And remember, after this run, we have a full minute rest, so try to keep it up here. And 30 seconds left, so try to speed it up if you can. Ten seconds left before we move into that break. And good job. Now we have a 1 minute rest before we go through that a couple more times. So grab a drink of water, take a minute to get your breath rate down. So we're 30 seconds through our rest here. And 15 seconds left in our rest before we get back into those lunges. So starting with those lunges in 3, 2, 1, and we're moving into our lunges again. So remember, just taking that big step back, bringing that knee as close or to the floor if we're able to, then standing back up again and moving through that with our other side. Trying to keep our chest nice and upright here too. And we're over halfway through with our lunges. "15 seconds left before we transition into those burpees again. So starting with those burpees again in 3, 2, 1. So back into those burpees, starting with that hop, then doing that push-up. After that push-up, we're hopping again and just moving through those two movements. And remember, if you're a little bit too fatigued to do those push-ups, you can always do those shoulder taps. But still doing that hop in between each shoulder tap. And we're well over halfway through these burpees here. And we've got 5 more seconds of burpees. Good job. And now we're transitioning back into those air squats. So remember, feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, toes are pointed outwards. We're squatting down, making sure our knees go over our toes and moving through that movement. And we're over halfway through our squats. And remember, you can always do those sit to stands as another option. And we've got 5 seconds left of our squats before we move them back into our run on the spot. And running on the spot for our last minute here before our rest. And we're halfway through our run, so try to speed it up a little bit if you can. And 15 seconds left. We have a rest after this, so try to push it. And good job. Now we're gonna rest for a minute and